Thank you for tuning in to another installment of There Is No Collapse. This is our fifth part, or the third part of our fifth part. Finishing up now in the whole cryptocurrency space, giving you an understanding of the foundations that have been laid for the New World Order as far as the global schematic is concerned. For those that are new to this, you're probably wondering what is a cryptocurrency, such as Bitcoin, which is basically the grandfather of all these new innovations. Basically, it's a digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of a currency and verify the transfer of funds, operating independently of a central bank. So it's an effort to detach oneself from the banking system. That's the first thing to take note of. Furthermore, when we look at the aspects of what a cryptocurrency actually is, it's actually a medium of exchange, okay, using cryptography to secure the transactions and to control the creation of new units. Cryptocurrencies are a subset of alternative currencies, or specifically of digital currencies. Bitcoin is the most famous one. That became the first decentralized cryptocurrency in 2009. Since then, numerous cryptocurrencies have been created. These are frequently called altcoins, as a blend of Bitcoin alternative. Cryptocurrencies use a decentralized control as opposed to centralized electronic money or centralized banking systems, i.e., the central bank. The decentralized control is related to the use of Bitcoin blockchain, a transaction database, and the role of a distributed ledger. Most cryptocurrencies are designed to gradually decrease production of currency, placing an ultimate cap on the total amount of currency that will ever be in circulation, mimicking precious metals. Now, compared with ordinary currencies held by financial institutions or kept as cash on hand, cryptocurrencies are less susceptible to seizure by law enforcement per se. Get back to that in a moment. Existing cryptocurrencies are all pseudonyms, though additions such as Zero Coin and its distributed laundry feature have been suggested, which would allow for true anonymity. You know, that's something that people are more comfortable with. We live in a digital age where being autonomous and being able to hide behind things is of great value to most people. In the US, bitcoins are labeled as virtual assets. This type of ambiguous classification puts mounting pressure on law enforcement agencies around the world to adapt to the shifting drug trade of dark markets. Side note, notice how the foundation has already been laid here. You've heard that what this feature is. You get an idea now of why the demand existed for this feature. People want to be they're fighting for their privacy. I'm telling you that the whole creation of Bitcoin is more nefarious purposes. All right, to get you acclimated to the new world order, to the new system of money, to the new system of control mechanisms. See, they have to roll out the problem, action, solution aspect to all of this. There has to be a need created. And then once they roll this out, then they're going to put measures rolled out to quote unquote protect you. Protecting you from whom? From what? From yourself. And what's the issue that's been rolled out? Well, you know, we're thinking about drug dealing. Think about that. Think about what that means. We want to regulate the most powerful market in the world that's ever been created. And what business might that be? What market might that be? Bigger than the stock market. What's bigger than the stock market? Flowers. Flowers are the biggest market of all time. It all starts with a flower, with a plant, with a weed. That's right. Something growing out of the ground is deemed more precious. A vegetable, per se, is what they want to regulate. They want to regulate vegetables. All right. Concerns of an unregulated global economy is what they say, such as the internet. Remember, they're saying, "Oh, it's unregulated. We want to tax it." Okay. Now, as the popularity of and the demand for online currencies increases since its inception back in '09, the concerns of an unregulated person-to-person global economy that the cryptocurrencies offer has now been deemed a threat to society, i.e., a threat to their system of government control. Concerns abound that altcoins may become tools for anonymous web criminals. All right? There's something that is, they see it as a threat to the establishment. Anything that's a threat to the establishment must be eliminated. Cryptocurrency networks display a marked lack of regulation that attracts many users who seek decentralized exchange and use of currency. Again, decentralized exchange is what we're talking about. All right, detaching oneself from the central bank is considered all right. If they can't regulate and tax it, it's illegal. I don't care what it is that you're doing. That's the end of the day. That is the situation that is occurring. All right. Now, you need to know this part of it too. All right. There's another aspect here of this. The aspect of this is that they want to get everyone acclimated to it so they can then come in and say, okay, now that you're used to this and you have built up monies and things associated with it, and now more and more businesses are accepting it, then that's when they come in, they pull the rug from underneath you and say, haha, here's the new use of the technology, and now what are you going to do about it? All right. You need to understand what this is going to be able to do. In the beginning, you think, oh man, this is great. This is, something that's more libertarian, blah, blah, blah. But it's not. It's actually being rolled out by the establishment. Sort of like the Matrix movie. Just when you thought you woke up out of the Matrix, no, you're still in the Matrix. The Matrix itself made provisions for the idea that people would want to rebel from the system of control. So it built another alt system or universe within itself to make people think that they have actually escaped the older system, the other system. So that's what's going on here, getting you used to this new thing, because this new thing is much larger and much bigger than what you think it is. Why do you think that markets can go on ad infinitum as far as their pimperation goes and manipulation? Bond markets, currency markets, stock markets, you name it. All the markets can be manipulated and have been manipulated and are being manipulated, and it can go on forever. How do you think it is that they can, quote unquote, print money indefinitely, bailout after bailout? How is that even possible? It's not even that much money in circulation. How can you have a debt that's more than your gross national product? How can you have a debt that is more than the money that's in circulation? How can the exchanges trade more contracts as far as paper contracts go on gold and silver than there is in the ground? Right now, if I have enough money, I can go and I can put an order in right now to buy me, I'm just being funny here, but let's say 1 billion contracts of gold. Well, there's not that much gold on the planet, but theoretically you could trade it. You see where this is going? It's the fractional reserve currency being applied to the markets. All right, and it's ridiculous, but that's where we are now. Now that you know what we are, let's move on to how we got here, why we got here, and where this road actually is going to lead us to. And where this leads us to is the following. All roads lead to Rome. And here's the why this is happening. They realized a long time ago that control is going to be of most importance. They have to be able to protect their profits. Only way to be able to protect your profits is if you can control the people. All right? That's what we are. They need to control the people. So let's move into where that leads and how best to do it. J.F. Kennedy, the late JFK, once was quoted in saying that, "For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence." What better way to expand one's sphere of influence than debt? If you owe me, then you have now become enslaved to me. So they realized that once they got into power, talking about the Federal Reserve, i.e. the central banking schematic, they realized what better way to keep their power than to actually move forward with a mechanism of control. The world runs on two things: war and slavery. Both are fantastic for business. There's no two bigger money makers on the planet than slavery and war. So how do they propose to go about doing this and capturing as many people as possible? And I'm telling you, it is through debt. Debt, debt, and more debt. That is how they tend to do it. An aspect of creating the stronghold of debt is also through the incremental rollout of new technology. When you take a man's job away, you take away his ability to not only create wealth for himself, but also to provide for himself. Thus, he is now going to have to whore himself out, i.e. slave himself, put himself in slavery. Let's look at what has transpired through technology. And we have never even realized that they were using technology as also a way to enslave us and also to get us used to the new debt stronghold. First of all, look around you at this picture here. You see basically an iPhone in the middle, okay, smartphone in the middle. This one device has replaced the cassette tape, the Polaroid camera, the little transistor radio, the paper calendar, handheld calculator, letter writing, here's a letter, the old-fashioned alarm clock, and the rotary dial telephone. And this is also inclusive of any kind of telephone, old plug-in-the-wall phone. Some of you don't even remember some of this technology, or never seen or held some of this stuff. But this one guy here does the work of all of these guys. He's a camera. You can listen to radio on him. He has a calendar in him, a calculator in him. Mail is in him. You can send email. He has alarms in him. You can talk to him as a phone, and you can also listen to music on him. Come on, he can do it all. So this guy has stolen your job. They made you fall in love with this guy while he was yet taking your job. under the guise of I'm making your life easier and simpler. Don't you like me? Don't you love me? You're going to think, where have you been all my life, and what was life like without you? How did I ever get along without you, sir? Not realizing that he was really not your friend. He was basically snuffing these guys one by one, sniping them in the dark. And now that he has taken all these guys out and only he alone is left, the next target is you. Now he's coming for you. And not only is he going to come for you, but he's also going to control you. Now you can't operate without him. You can't live without him. All right? You cannot operate your life without this device, without this guy here. What does this device represent? The technology, the control grid that has been built right underneath our noses to control us. As you can see, HSBC is cutting senior banking jobs. How is it that they can do that? How can you cut the head? It says senior banking job. That means someone who's been with the company for a while. Someone who's higher up, like a supervisor, manager, a director, vice president, you name it, whatever the title. Fill in the blank. Fill in the spaces. Because your new boss is not the same as the old boss. Your new boss is that little guy, that little iPhone, that little Android device. That computer is taking over these jobs. You don't need human beings anymore because the computer doesn't get sick. Although he can catch a virus. Okay? He's not easily swayed by his peers. However, he can be programmed and controlled and hacked into. So he's not perfect either. He's just better than you, as far as in the eyes of big business, in the eyes of the ruling class. They can do without you now. They no longer need you. Here's what the new technology can do. The FBI blocks info leak of biometric database faces and fingerprints. They have an enormous database of your face, my face, fingerprints, DNA, because everything's been combined into one big database. They've been doing it secretly for decades. Remember I told you a few videos back that this all started in the late 80s with the data entry jobs. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just entering data into a computer database, did not know anything about anything. Little did we know that the nefarious thing behind the fact was that we were putting everything about everything on the computer, building a database of knowledge. And then they realized that the knowledge doesn't have to be limited. This knowledge can store everything about everybody. Someone got the big idea a long time ago that we can actually be God and be God-like and be at all places at all times, be omnipresent. All you need is to have enough cameras, enough eyes in the sky to be able to see and to hear everything, and then that way you could control everything that's happening on the ground. See, here it is here, the big eye in the sky, looking down. You can see everything from this vantage point. Hence the drones that can fly thousands of feet and record, enormous amounts of things. And that's all they do. They can map everything to the world. A couple years ago, they mapped and built a database with instructions how to get to everybody's house. So pretty much every address in the USA has been mapped so they can get to you anytime they need to get to you. How further are they going to control us? I think George Orwell said it best. Truth, it's the new hate speech. During times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. Truth is the new hate speech. If you speak out contrary to any, and I mean any, thing that has to do with the government's agenda, you will be singled out as a criminal with hate speech and hate crimes. You can't speak out against anyone who is politically affiliated and powerful. If you do, you can be thrown into prison. All right, hate speech. You can't say anything about anybody at any time without being sued to death and thrown into prison. Later on, it's going to have even more terrible consequences because you can cut off a person's chip. Everything's going to be chipped. Your new cards are chipped. You eventually will be chipped. That's where this is going. That's the end game. That's how they will have 100% complete control, and people are going to beg for it because of the way it's going to be presented. It's going to be presented that we can make your life easier, make your life better. We can pretty much bring crime to zero, because everything, every device, your car, your home, everything, every device will be recording in real time speech and sight. So can you imagine? Man, no more murders and crimes, because as soon as it happens, you know who did it and where. It's amazing what this technology will be able to do, and the markets have already been programmed with this type of information. So basically, the market now is self-correcting, so that in periods of low to no volatility, as far as volume, things like that, open interest, the market itself is feeding on itself. It is the market maker. All the market makers are electronic now. Okay, so this is where we are. This is where we are, and this is where we're heading down this road. And all roads lead to Rome. And we're going to break this down, how the debt aspect is going to be used to roll all this out. And that's what's going on right now. That's why you've been hearing about, that's why you've been really hearing about debt and interest rates. Interest rates is linked to debt. And we're going to break down what that means in our sixth installment, All Roads Lead to Rome. Cryptocurrencies are designed to gradually decrease production of currency, placing an ultimate cap on the total amount of currency that will ever be in circulation, mimicking precious metals. Now, compared with ordinary currencies held by financial institutions or kept as cash on hand, cryptocurrencies are less susceptible to seizure by law enforcement, per se. Get back to that in a moment. Existing cryptocurrencies are all pseudonyms, though additions such as ZeroCoin and its distributed laundry feature have been suggested, which would allow for true anonymity. Basically, it's a digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of a currency and verify the transfer of funds, operating independently of a central bank. So it's an effort to detach oneself from the banking system. That's the first thing to take note of. Furthermore, when we look at the aspects of what a cryptocurrency actually is, it's actually a medium of exchange, okay, using cryptography to secure the transactions and to control the creation of new units. Cryptocurrencies are a subset of alternative currencies, or specifically of digital currencies. Bitcoin is the most famous one. That became the first decentralized cryptocurrency in 2009. Since then, numerous cryptocurrencies have been created. These are frequently called altcoins, as a blend of Bitcoin alternative. Cryptocurrencies use a decentralized control as opposed to centralized electronic money or centralized banking systems, i.e. the central bank. The decentralized control is related to the use of Bitcoin blockchain, a transaction database, in the role of a distributed ledger. That's something that people are more comfortable with. We live in a digital age where being autonomous and being able to hide behind things is of great value to most people. In the U.S., bitcoins are labeled as virtual assets. This type of ambiguous classification puts mounting pressure on law enforcement agencies around the world to adapt to the shifting drug trade of dark markets. Side note, Notice how the foundation has already been laid here. You've heard that what this feature. Thank you for tuning in to another installment of There Is No Collapse. This is our fifth part, or the third part of our fifth part. Finishing up now in the whole cryptocurrency space, giving you an understanding of the foundations that have been laid for the New World Order as far as the global schematic is concerned. For those that are new to this, you're probably wondering what is a cryptocurrency, such as Bitcoin, which is basically the grandfather of all these new innovations.